Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. Today we are looking at the sixth grade concept of operations with integers. This is 6.3D readiness practice, the intermediate version. If you are interested in exploring the 6.3D readiness practice for the proficient or advanced version, or the readiness practice resource aligned with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description. So we have a submarine cruising at 150 feet below sea level. All right, so let's get a visual here, and since we've got sea level, let's draw a blue line, and let's make our submarine kind of just like this. I'm just going to make it a rectangle. We know it's not a rectangle, but let's say this is our sub, just so we don't spend too long trying to figure out what a sub look like. So it's 150 feet below sea level. So if my sea level is 0, I'm going to call this negative 150. Now it rose 75 feet. Okay, so my sub is going to come up here. And it rose, so it actually got closer to the surface. And then it dove another 125 feet. So it ends up ending up lower than it started right here. So that's going to be a minus 125. So here's my question. How far below sea level is it now? Well, we can actually put this into a number sentence to make it a little bit easier. Okay, we're going to take our starting point, negative 150, and then we're going to add the first change. That's a plus 75. And then we need to subtract the second change, which is a minus 125. And so that's what that's going to look like. And so if we wanted to visualize this on a number line, we could do that as well. Or we can just have this as a series of operations here. So if I take my negative 150 and imagine that on my number line. So here's my 0, right? And so if I start with my negative 150, I'll put that on a number line so we can visualize it. Plus 75 is going to get us closer. So that's going to be a 150 plus 75. That's going to cut that distance in half, right? And that's going to give me a minus 75. So right here, I'm at a negative 75 feet because I took, think of it like 150 minus 75, and then you just kind of reverse the operation. That's really what we did, is we did that 150 minus 75, and that's how you can kind of do it in reverse, is that 75, and then just know that we're going to end up being at a negative 75 since we started with a negative 150. So now at negative 75, and then I'm going to subtract 125. So then I'm going to have to come all the way back over here, and that's going to be subtract 125. So how can I perform that operation? Well, I can take my negative 175 and my negative 125. When you subtract from a negative, it's like you're adding. So let's add this up. This is 10, and that's going to be another 10. So look, we are now at 200, negative 200. So that's where I'm ending up, is at feet, negative 200 feet below sea level. And so when we are operating with integers, we need to always keep in mind, are we at negative, are we at positive, and which way are we going? And sometimes a picture helps, sometimes a number line helps. And so let's write our answer, 200 feet below sea level. All right, and so we will put a green box around this so we know this is the answer. And we could also, if we wanted to just put negative 200 feet, this is also a correct answer. So if we wrote out with words, I can say 200 feet below sea level. That below sea level counts as the negative, or I can just say negative 200 feet if I just wanted to represent it with that sign. So Carlos is hiking up a mountain, and he starts at an elevation of 250. He climbs up 75, descends 20. Okay, so let's do since we're looking at a mountain, let's do a number line, but let's do a vertical number line. So let's just think of our number line like this, and that's going to kind of represent our mountain. So he starts at an elevation of 250. That's where he starts. He climbs up 75, so plus 75 is going to get him up to there. So what is 250 plus 75, right? That is going to be 325. So now he's at 325. And then he descends. This means he comes down 120. So we need to take away 120, and that's going to be 205. So he's going to end up lower than where he started. But since he's on a mountain, he can't really get below the mountain unless there's a cave. So all of these numbers are going to stay as positive. With the C, you can get obviously below the C. So 205. And so what we could do to represent this would be 250 plus 75 by climbing up, and then descending 120. That's going to equal 205. And so that is our answer. And we can say 205 feet. And let's put that in a green box. Like I said, since this is a mountain, he's going to stay positive. For our third problem, there is no story problem. We just have an order of operations problem here. Remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And you notice I put the multiplication and division in the same row, addition and subtraction in the same row, because they are inverse operations. You can do division before multiplication. You could do subtraction before addition if they come left to right. So we have 45 minus, and then we get a negative. We have a divide, and then we have a plus. We need to take care of this division first. Okay, so 45 minus. Now I've got negative 45 divided by 15. Well, think of that like 45 divided by 15, then it's going to end up being a negative. So how many 15s go into 45? 15, 30, 45. It's just 3. So these two collapse down into a negative 3, and then plus 9. That's probably the trickiest part of this, is realizing you have to divide first, and you're dividing a negative 45 by 15, and it becomes a negative 3. So now I can do either the subtraction or the addition because they're kind of equal. Subtraction does come first, left to right, so I need to subtract a negative 3. Remember, when you subtract a negative 3, the two signs cancel out. Subtracting a negative is like adding a positive. So this ends up being 45 plus 3, because they cancel out. That becomes a positive 48. I'm going to add the 9, and then my answer is going to be 57. So let's put a box around this. That is our answer. If you are interested in exploring the 6.3D readiness practice for the proficient or the advanced version, or the readiness practice resource along with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description.